What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be ranking the films that I saw in January from worst to best. One of the films that's not going to be on this ranking list is going to be A Man Called Otto, because even though this film got its wide release at the beginning of January, this film came out in late December of 2022, so therefore it is a 2022 film, so that's not going to be qualifying to be on this ranking list. But with that out of the way, I saw 12 films in January, and this is a record number for me, mostly because January I'll just see like about 4 to 5 films, but this year I decided to just spread out my horizons and check out as many films as I possibly could, whether it be on Netflix or in theaters. These are the 12 films that I saw in January, ranked from worst to best. Coming in 12th place is Fear. Going into this film, I knew absolutely nothing about it, so I just saw the poster, and really when it came down to this movie, the reason why it's the worst film that I saw last month is mostly because I really enjoyed the concept of this movie. The things that you fear is the things that's going to kill you. That is a great concept that I absolutely loved and enjoyed seeing. However, the dialogue, the characters, and just the jump scares in general really didn't do much for me, so it really didn't have an overall effect on this film because it just felt very flat and very generic, whereas you could have had a very cool film when it came down to this concept, but it just didn't reach the heights that I wanted it to, and it just came out really flat. Coming in at 11th place, I have The Devil Conspiracy, another film that I thought the concept was actually really nutty and really great, but the overall story and the way that it was executed really didn't leave anything to the imagination. There were a lot of cool things that they could have done. The CGI was terrible. You couldn't see any of it. It was all masked in darkness, and a lot of this movie is filmed in the dark, and it was just very hard to see. There are characters that you don't care about and you don't like, but the concept around this film actually had something going for it. I just wish it was executed a little bit better. Coming in at 10th place, I have House Party, a movie that I was moderately excited for, but didn't have really high expectations. This is the remake of the 1990s movie House Party with Kid and Play, which I actually saw a week before this film came out, and I actually enjoyed that movie. I thought it was funny. I think it still holds up, and there are some relatable things, especially when it comes to the relationship between Kid and his dad. However, when it came down to this movie, it was produced by LeBron James, and it was originally supposed to be an HBO Max original, except David Zaslav saw how good it was, and decided to give it the theatrical experience, and it just fell flat on so many levels. Aside from one flashback scene that I actually had laughed so hard at, everything about this movie fell incredibly flat. There are characters that you don't care about. It goes in a weird direction towards the third act of the film, and for a comedy, it really wasn't all that funny, but there were some things you could have done better with this movie, but it just came out flat. Didn't have a lot of laughs with this movie. Didn't think that it was the awful mess that a lot of people probably made it out to be, but there was some bit of enjoyment here and there. It was just really one that didn't really hit me as much as I wanted it to. Coming in at 9th place, I have The Old Way. This is Nicolas Cage taking on a Western, and even though when it comes to Nicolas Cage, you either get Willy's Wonderland or you get something like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, this movie fell on a very tight ledge where this movie was absolutely terrible. There were things that I liked about it here and there. The chemistry between his daughter and what they were trying to go for worked to a degree. However, this film just felt like a cliche on top of cliche on top of cliche, and it really didn't work all that much for me because the dialogue in this movie that they had to say and things that characters were doing, it just didn't work for me. I thought it was a big mess, but every single time that Nicolas Cage is on screen, I'm going to be having a blast when it comes to it. Coming in 8th place, I have Sick, a movie about the pandemic, and this movie premiered at Fantastic Fest back in September. I heard a lot of people talk about it. It got some mixed results. For me personally, I enjoyed it to a degree. There were some things that I really enjoyed. The kills here and there were great, except it was just the ending for me that really made it feel like it was just an absolute mess. I had enjoyment for a while. I really liked the chemistry between the friends here and there, but when you get to the reveal about what's actually going on, it actually didn't work for me. I wanted a little bit more, and I know a lot of people are sick of having COVID movie related movies, But for me, it personally doesn't matter as long as the story is great. For me, the first half of this film is absolutely fun, and you have a lot of great humor here and there. You can definitely tell that it was written by Kevin Williamson just by the way that it was metalized and just the way that the characters were interacting, the dialogue also. But just that third act twist that really ties everything together didn't work for me. I wish it did a little bit better, but overall, if I had to say check it out or don't check it out, I'll say check it out because I think it is a fun film to check out. It is streaming on Peacock, so go ahead and check it out there. Coming in seventh place is You People. Jonah Hill, absolutely love him. I will die for him. I have been a huge fan of this guy. I think his dramatic work is absolutely fantastic. I think Eddie Murphy has been gone away from the spotlight for far too long. But when I saw that these two were working together, I thought it was going to be fun, and it just didn't come out as fun as I wanted to. I thought what they were trying to go for was a great take, and I was trying to do something to give a bit of a message, a bit of a condiment, but it just didn't work for me. There were a couple of moments where the humor didn't land. A couple of times it really did, but it was trying to make you feel uncomfortable, and at times it does work in that degree, but other times it just felt kind of flat. It kind of needed a little bit more humor, a couple more interactions between Murphy and Hill, but the relationship between Lauren and Jonah in this movie absolutely worked. It takes a little while for you to buy into the relationship, but once you buy it, it absolutely has sparks to it, and you enjoy the chemistry between one another. Coming in sixth place, I have There's Something Wrong with the Children, a movie I knew absolutely nothing about, but this year I am trying to dig into more indie horror films and a lot more indie films because there are films that people don't know about or don't really have the spotlight shown to them. So I want to be able to bring some attention to that. This movie was absolutely a good time for me. I really enjoyed a lot of the creepy things that they were trying to go for, the creepy setups. Even though it doesn't have a big payoff for a lot of people, I love that it didn't really have to explain anything. You kind of get the gist about what's going on, and I think it is left for your interpretation, and which is something that I really enjoyed. But there were a lot of creepy moments in this movie that absolutely got me at the edge of my seat and got under my skin just a little bit. And I think this is the best that I've seen Zach Gilford perform. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of him, I do enjoy a couple of his projects whenever he pops up, but this was his moment to shine, and there were moments where he had to take his psychotic level up a notch, and it works as a psychological thriller. Although it doesn't hit a home run towards the third act of the film, I still enjoyed it for what this film was. Coming in fifth place is The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker, a documentary on Netflix about this guy that went trending on social media because he helped protect somebody with a hatchet. Though this documentary was a mixed bag for a lot of people, it showed that there were things that they could have done better and not exploit this guy for their own personal gain. This documentary absolutely got me tearful. There were a lot of things that made me not feel right. It made me feel bad for this guy. I know it's going to be a lot of hot takes for what actually happened, what is actually happening with this guy. Some people think that he was wrong for killing his rapist. Other people will say that he was in the right for killing his rapist. But it was just that underlining of things that it felt more of an exploitative documentary than it was showing what could have been done to help this guy. And to me personally, I enjoyed most of it. I really liked seeing him gain fame and fortune, but it was just all for the wrong reasons. And I think this documentary could have shown a little bit more light, given us a little bit more perspective into his mental health. I wish that we had some mental health professionals in this documentary, just so we could see their take. But when it comes down to it, it was a documentary that I didn't know I wanted to watch, and I was really nervous walking into it because I really didn't know anything about this guy. I remember seeing him on memes and stuff like that, but other than that, there was nothing that I knew about this guy, and I think they did the best thing that they possibly could have for what this documentary is, and I enjoyed a lot of it, although you could have had a little bit more with this documentary and with the actual person in getting help. Coming in fourth place is M3gan. I know a lot of people absolutely love this movie. They think it is a new iconic killer. For me personally, I had a lot of fun with this movie, although it didn't hit the right beats that I wanted it to, and it swayed more on a cheesy side just a little bit. I think the chemistry between Allison Williams and her niece absolutely worked to its great effect. I think they had some great chemistry here and there, and it was just more of a personal story instead of a full-blown horror film, because you have a lot of these characters, a lot of these kills that are so far in between, but it also leans on more that cheesy side that is aimed at teenagers. And I saw this movie twice. I saw it first when it came out, and then I saw it about a week later with my dad. I think this movie is fun. I just don't think it is a great horror film. It's more of a thriller than anything else, but I still had a lot of fun with this movie. On the second watch, it really didn't do much for me. I thought it was fine. I just don't think it is the best horror films that we had in years. Coming in third place is Plane. This movie was exactly what I wanted it to be, and I came out enjoying it from beginning to end. This is a throwback to 90s films, and I absolutely enjoyed every moment of this movie. Are there some things that characters do that are really ridiculous? Absolutely. Are the plane passengers just there just so we can get behind our main character? Absolutely. But that didn't bother me because it got me what I wanted it to have. There are some great kills, there are some great gun battles towards the end of the film, but this movie was just a cliched throwback to a 90s film that you expect Gerard Butler to be in. This movie did everything that I wanted it to do, whether it be to a high degree or a small degree. I still had a lot of fun with this film. Coming in second place is going to be a movie that nobody is going to be probably having it high on this list, but for me, because I really enjoyed it a lot and it gave me the claustrophobia that I wanted it, that would be Skinamarink. I know a lot of people have been very controversial with this movie. A lot of people absolutely hate it, think it's absolutely boring. All those points are very warranted. I understand where you're coming from. I understand that when I came out of this movie, I said that it was going to be a movie that's not going to be for everybody. This is going to be probably the most controversial film of the year. But for me personally, it tapped into my childhood fears, seeing things that weren't there in the dark. And I saw this twice in theaters because I wanted to see how I felt on a second watch. Plus, I took a friend to go see it to see her reaction. The white noise made her sleep, which is understandable. But for me personally, I think if you place yourself in the mind of being a 4-year-old kid with absolutely no walls, no nothing, and you feel very claustrophobic, I think there are a lot of things that are very frightening to the imagination. This movie plays on your imagination and plays on things that you fear are there but you don't know. Some of the jump scares here and there actually did get me, even though it's just a bunch of loud noise and a lot of jump scares. This movie absolutely tapped into the things that I was afraid of when I was young, and it actually worked for me because of those reasons. This movie did absolutely everything that I wanted it to do. When I saw the first trailer, I was at the edge of my seat. I didn't know what this movie was going to be about. I didn't know anything about this movie. I heard that there were a lot of people that absolutely hated it because it was just shots of ceilings, walls, floors, TV, everything. And to me, when I went in, I was nervous because of those reasons. But coming out, it actually played to my fears, and I absolutely loved this movie. Is it going to end up being one of my favorite films of the year? Probably not, because this movie is very experimental and it is very different. But for originality, when it comes to it, you can see some originality in here. It's not completely original, but for me personally, it played on the fears that I had when I was younger and I was living in the basement with my family. In the dark, I'm still afraid of the dark. This movie made me even more afraid of the dark. But coming in first place is Missing. I absolutely loved this movie. I absolutely loved Searching. I thought that was a fantastic movie. The mystery kept you getting engaged with the characters and you wanted to figure out where everything was leading up to. With Missing, Storm Reid delivers one of the best performances that I've seen her do in this recent short time. The first time that I saw her was in a film called Flight, which she was absolutely fantastic for a young actor, and I know a lot of people really hated A Wrinkle in Time, but one thing that I absolutely heard everybody praising was Storm Reid in that film. So this film actually made her do a lot more that was intended for her to do. She was placed in the same position that John Cho was in Searching, where she just had to react to whatever's going on, even though it was probably just a blank screen, and she had to emote a lot of fear, confusion, and trying to figure things out. This was a character that planned everything accordingly and knew exactly what she wanted it to do, and I absolutely loved it. The mystery for me personally, even though I thought it was a great twist towards the end of the film, I think the mystery in Searching was a little bit better than it was in this movie, but I would be lying to you if I said that this movie absolutely had me riveted from beginning to end, mostly because of the twists and turns that you expect to see in a film like this. And if they made a third one like this, I would be there for it because I absolutely loved it. They are 2 for 2 when it comes to the Searching universe, and I really like the way that they referenced Searching and Missing. But if they made a third one called Found, I would be there for it because I absolutely loved it. It was intense, it was riveted, you were trying to guess where everything was going, and I absolutely came out loving this film, and it was my favorite film of January. But those are my rankings for the films that came out in January from best to worst. What are your rankings? What are the films that you saw that I may not have seen just yet? Go ahead and drop those thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on more videos. Click that bell notification so you get notified every single time that a video pops up. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.